I like what at night when I get my coffee all ready, set to go, and
Yeah.
I forget to put my capsule in.
Oh.
And so all I did is like espresso is plain water. Oh, I believe I did. I'm sure, but anyway. All right, here we go. We have bait. Yud. If he says, I am a Nazir when a son will be born to me, and I am a Nazir for 100 days, and a son was born to him, if before 70 days he loses nothing. If after 70 days he discounts 70, for there is no head shaving for less than 30 days. Um, Someone who said, I am a Nazir, shaves his head on the 31st day, but if he shaved on the 30th day, he has discharged his obligation. If he said, I am a Nazir for 30 days, if he shaved his head on the 30th day, he has not discharged his obligation. Someone who declared two terms of Naziris saves for the first day on day 31 and for the second day on day 61. But if he shaved before the first on day 30, he shaves for the second on day 60. And if he shaved on day 60 minus one, he has to charge his obligation. And this testimony was attested by Rabbi Papias about someone who declared two terms of Naziris, that if he shaved for the first day on first on day 30, he shaves not for the second day on day 60. But if he shaved on day 60 minus one, he has to discharge his obligation because day 30 is reckoned for him as the count of the second term. Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay.
Mi Shamar, one who says, Hareini Nazir, Nitma Yom Shloshim. Then he becomes Tameh on the 30th day. So he hasn't yet brought technically completed his Naziris, obviously, with the shaving and the korban and okay. But he has B'diavad fulfilled the time obligation because he just said, I'm a Nazir, and we said that any part of the 30th day is enough B'diavad. So if he went ahead and shaved on the 30th day, he would have been fine. Now it becomes Tameh on the 30th day. So what's the halacha of that? We already saw what happened if he shaves on the 30th day, but what happens if he becomes Tameh on that day? So ser es hakol. Goodbye. Sorry. Wah, wah, wah. You know. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer, however, disagrees with us and says no. Since he has technically fulfilled the required 30 days, Eino soser ela shiva. All that he loses is 7 days while he goes through the whole paraduma treatment, and then he can shave and complete his term of Naziris. Hareni Nazir Shloshim Yom.
Mhm.
However, he agrees that if the person stipulated 30 days, then it's a 30 full day thing. Nitma Yom Shloshim Soser Asakol. Then even Rabbi Eliezer comes on board and says, "Yeah, that's too bad. If you lost it, if you got became Tameh on the 30th day there, you did not even technically complete your term, so therefore the whole thing gets reset." Okay. Next case. Hareini Nazir Mayayom. He says, okay, I am going to be a Nazir for 100 days. Okay, Nitma Yom Mea. Now he becomes Tame on the 100th day. He has not completed his term. Remember, he
You
stipulated
frozen.
him.
You froze. You
Oh, sorry.
froze.
Okay, sorry if yes, I can see my internet thing is causing me trouble. Just a sec. Let me see if I can switch to a VPN, and I've got this piece of software that often from my work that often just causes trouble. Let me see if I can switch to a VPN quickly. Connect. Oh, missed it. Oh my, I think my computer might be a little unstable actually, to be honest. There we go. Click it. Okay. Um, all right, I'm gonna carry on talking in the meantime because it takes a little while to do the connection. And things might wobble in the meantime. Okay, so again, he says, I'm going to be a Nazir for 100 days. And since he stipulates the term, then the 100th day, you can't do the Michza Kekulo thing. You can't say part of it is like the whole thing. It's got to be 100 full days. Okay, so he became Tameh on that 100th day. So Seres Hakol, he lost everything. Sorry. That's the whole clock resets. And okay. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, no, says Rabbi Eliezer, Eino soser ela shloshim. He says, you don't lose everything, just the last 30. Okay. You can so when he becomes tower again, now he must go back and complete his term. Nitma yom mea ve'echad. Now, what happens if he became Tame on the after he's completed his 100 days? So it's now the 101st day. He has definitely completed his term of Naziris, and all he's waiting for now is the haircut and the korbanos. But he became Tame. Okay. Now, what happens now is Sose Shloshim Yom. Say the Chachamim say, look, we know that technically he has completed his term, but we want to be clear that he must go back and redo 30 days now, and that's a gezerah derabanan. Why do they need such a gezerah? Because because we're concerned about a case where he became tamei on the 100th day as opposed to the 101st day, or if in the case of where he said 30 days, that he becomes tamei on the 31st day rather than the 30th day, because on the 30th day, according to the Chachamim, that has not completed his term, and he's going to need to repeat everything. So they made it clear that he has to do a redo, even in the situation where he has technically fulfilled his obligation. Okay, so that's a gezerah derabanan. Rabbi Eliezer doesn't hold by that. Okay. Ein osose ela shiva. He only has to do the 7 days of purification, and then he can complete his term of Naziris. Okay, Mishna, hey, Mishin Nazar, Vahu Beves Hakvaros. So here's a guy who is in the cemetery at the time that he declares he's going to be a Nazir. Okay, now let's just be clear about some things that can get conflated. Being in the cemetery doesn't mean that you're Tameh. You can be in a cemetery and not be among the graves, but not be on top of a grave. So the cemetery does impart a certain amount, a certain tumah, and a kohen is not allowed to go into a cemetery, and a nazir is not allowed to go into a cemetery, but it doesn't make you 7 day tameh. Okay, so what's the situation over here is that the nazir started out his term of nazir in a place that he's not allowed to be. But it's just a cemetery tumor. He doesn't need the paraduma to get him tahor yet. Okay. So he makes his Nazirus start out, and he's in the cemetery. Afilu haya sham shloshim yom, and he decided, you know what? I don't feel like becoming letting my Nazirus kick in just yet. Let me just set up camp here in the cemetery for a few days while I get myself used to the concept. And he gets his family to come and bring him food. So he never actually sets foot outside of the cemetery. It's all hypothetical, okay? Nobody actually did this, but we want to understand the principles. As long as he stays in the cemetery, the Naziris does not begin. He doesn't have to bring a korban for anything. Ein olin lo min minyan. It doesn't count for his number of days. So ein lo maybe korban tuma, and he doesn't bring a korban for having become tamei. So let's say he does now walk over one of the graves and become properly tamei. He does not have to bring a korban tuma because his naziris hasn't actually started. The naziris clock hasn't started. Okay. However, yatsa v'nichnas. He walked out of the cemetery. Click, straight away, he's a Nazir. Now he steps back into the cemetery. Okay. Olin lo min haminyan, he was not allowed to go into the cemetery. However, um, if he steps back into the cemetery, let's say a couple days later, he comes back into the cemetery, he doesn't lose the first days of his Naziris because he hasn't yet become Tame properly from corpse tumor. He's just got the lighter form of cemetery tumor. Are you still with me? Because you seem to have frozen. Ah, not good.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay. At what point? Uh,
Frozen. Frozen.
yeah. Is it me? Is it you? Let me see. I think it's me. I think it's me. I'm having internet difficulties over here. I may have to restart my computer soon, but I'm not going to do that now. Okay, am I more or less stable now? No, I'm not stable.
Mm,
Not answering me.
try again. Not,
No.
not really. No.
Pause. All right, so we were in the situation.
We're on Gimel Dalet.
Yeah, the guy
Gimel,
was we were in Gimel Hay, and the guy was in the cemetery.
right. Hey.
He had started his Naziris, um, but and then he walked back into the cemetery. Now that doesn't make him uh, corpse tameh. It makes him cemetery tameh, which doesn't reset his clock. Okay, so that's why the Mishnah says over here, if he went in and went out, those days in which he went into the cemetery still count for his Naziris period, even though he wasn't allowed to do it. Okay, and if he does become tameh while he's in the cemetery, then he brings a korban tuma. Rabbi Eliezer Omer lo bo bayom. No, not if it was on that day. Okay, if he becomes tameh on his first day that he was a Nazir, this does not make him have to bring a korban tuma. Why? What's his svara? He says, look at the pasuk. It says, "V'hayamim harishonim yiplu." It's got to be yamim, plural. Actually, you lo yamim rishonim. So if he's only got one day, that's yom, not yamim. Okay. So therefore, says Rabbi Eliezer, it has to be from the second day and onwards if he becomes tameh that that he loses his first days. Okay, and that is not, and the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer in this particular case. Okay. Finally, my internet speed seems to have caught up. Are we back in sync?
I
No.
think so. I think so. Should be okay.
Still a big lag. Okay, but let's go back to Nadarim, Yud Aleph Ches.
Okay. I'll be announced right for 30 days. Even if she marries within 30 days, he cannot revoke it. If she vowed while under her husband's authority, he may revoke it. How? If she said, I will be a Nazarite after 30 days, even if she is widowed or divorced within the 30 days, it is revoked, and she vowed on the same day, and she was divorced on the same day, and he took her back on the same day, he cannot revoke it. This is the general rule. If any woman had entered into her own authority for even 1 hour, cannot revoke her netter. There are nine Naros whose the Nadorim stand: a Bogaris who is an orphan, a Nara who has become a Bogaris, and as an orphan, I'm sorry, and is an orphan, a Nara who has not become Bogaris, and an orphan and is an orphan, a Bogaris whose father died, a Nara who became a Bogaris, and a father died, a Nara who has not yet become a Bogaris, and a father died, a Nara whose father died, and after her father's death she became a Bogaris, and after Bogaris, whose father is living, a Nara who became a Bogaris, and his father is living. Yehuda said also, one who was married off his mind has divorced and returned to him, she is still a Nara. If a woman said,
That's it. Kesubot.
Cohen on my benefits regarding father, if it were Cohen on my benefit for you,
Okay,
that's,
you've overshot.
I finished it. I finished it. Hey, okay. Good.
When
Okay. All right.
Gimel Zayin.
Subos. If someone went overseas and the path to his field was lost, Advan says he may go with the shortest path. The sages, however, said he must buy a path even for 10,000 zuz or fly in the air. If one produced a note of indebtedness against another and the latter produced a deed that he sold him on the field, Advan says he can say, if I were indebted to you, you should have collected yours when you sold me the field. The sages, however, say that this one was clever in that they're in, I'm sorry, uh, in that he told him the land since he can take it for his security. If two people produce me, the sages, however, say this one collects his note of indebtedness and this one collects his note of indebtedness. Okay. Should be on to Moed, right?
Yeah, we're on to Moed Katan.
Right. Moed Katan, cuff base. Similarly, one whose wine was in the vat and then morning befell him, or an accident befell him, or his workers misled him, he may pour the wine into the barrels, complete its processing, and seal the barrels in his usual manner. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. But Yehuda says he may cover the barrels with boards so that the wine does not sour. A person may bring in his fruit because of thieves and remove his flax from the soaking ground so that it does not become ruined. Provided he does not plan his work for. We may not purchase homes or no slaves nor domestic animals except for use during the festival or to provide for the needs of the seller who otherwise has nothing to eat. We may not move objects from one house to another, but may move objects from one house to another within his courtyard. We may not bring vessels from the artisan's shop, but if one fears for them, he may move them into a different courtyard.
Okay.
Orla. Okay. If Roshi says one may plant a shoot of orla, but one may not plant a nut of orla because it is a fruit, and one may not graft early date berries of orla. Truma Misa of Demai, Hakala, and Bakoram are avoided in 101 and combine with one another, and one must take off. Orla and Kalea Kayam are avoided in 201, combine with one another, and one need not take off. Rabbi Shimon says they do not combine. Rebellion says they combine when imparting a flavor, but not to forbid. Tuma voids Orla and Orla Tuma. How so? If a saw of Tuma fell into 100, and afterwards 3 cobs of Orla or 3 cobs of Kalea Chayim fell into it, this is when the Tuma voids, Orla and Orla Tuma. Okay. Yeah. And we have Nagayim. Okay. On the 8th day, the Masorah brings these 3 animals: a sin offering, a guilt offering, and a burnt offering. A poor person brings birds for the sin offering and the burnt
Which
offering.
Mishnah you on? We're supposed to start with Mishnah Ches, yeah?
Should be okay. All right. I start on Zion. Okay. The Masorah comes to the guilt offering, leans both hands on it and straight slaughters it. 2 Kohanim receive his blood one in a vessel, the other in his hand. The Kohen who receives the blood in his hand and comes to the Masorah. Masorah has already immersed himself in the chamber of the Masorim and has come to stand in the Masorah's sphere. Then the Masorah puts his hand into the courtyard, and the Kohen places the blood of the guilt offering on his thumb. When the Masorah puts his foot into the courtyard, and the Kohen places the blood, Rabbi Yehuda says the Masorah puts all 3 limbs inside the courtyard simultaneously. If Masorah is missing his thumb, his big toe, or his right ear, he can never become tahor. Reb Elia says the Kohen applies the blood to the place where they should be. Reb Shimon says if the Kohen places the blood on the left limb, the Masorah has fulfilled his obligation. Okay. Okay. And now the last one we have is Avodah Zorah. Horarias.
We didn't finish Nagayim, by the way. We need to do Yud as well.
I didn't?
No, we need to do Yud.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The Kohen takes from the log container of oil and pours some oil into the palm of his fellow Kohen. If he pours it into his own palm, it is valid. Then he dips his finger in the oil and sprinkles 7 times toward the Holy of Holies, each sprinkling requiring a dipping. Then the Kohen comes to the Masorah. He applies the oil to the same parts of the body of the Masorah applied that he applied the blood, as stated on the place of the blood of the guilt offering. And he shall place the remainder of the oil that is in the palm of the Kohen on the head of that one who is coming as an atonement. If the Kohen places oil on his head, the Masorah is complete. If the Kohen does not place it, the Masorah's atonement is not complete. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nori says there are 10 remnants of the mitzvah. Whether or not he places the Masorah's atonement is complete, but it is considered as his atonement is not complete. If part of the log was missing before the Kohen poured it into his left hand, he may replenish it. If after he poured it into the left hand, he should bring a new log container of oil. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. And Shimon says, if part of the log was missing before he sprinkled the oil, he should replenish it. There's a new one.
Okay.
Okay.
I need to go at this point,
And
so
now we're on
do
to,
Arios by yourself, and I'm gonna duck. Have a wonderful day.
you're gonna go?
Yeah, I'm going. Okay.